So Diablo 4 players are pretty mad, and a lot of players are actually quitting the game, and it has to do with being very upset at the current game state for the expansion Vessel of Hatred, and it stems for several different things. Now I also want to give some constructive criticism on how we can try to fix these as a Diablo partner. I want the game to do well, but there are huge complaints that I think should be addressed. So for starters, this is a very big concern. To spend almost 150 hours, and I definitely have over 150 hours already as well, playing like 30 hours a day, and I still don't have a lot of the maxed aspects. This is a huge deal, and this is why a lot of people are upset about the game. You're not able to get those aspects. Unless you happen to grab Mom's credit card and go on a Diablo website and maybe go buy some gold, it's almost unachievable for your average player to get maxed out aspects. And the reason why I think this is a very big deal is because previously, you could pretty much max out your aspects if you just played the game, you know, throughout the entirety of the season. But now I feel like a lot of players may never get that maximum ferocity roll, or maybe that perfect moonrise, or whatever aspect that you're looking for your character, unless it drops on an ancestral. 35 billion, like, I've played this game for a really long time. I don't even have anywhere near that unless I was selling items for gold on a third-party website. Realistically, you're not getting these. It's just not achievable, and it's not built into the game. So there's a lot of players that are going to have the mindset of, I'm never getting the perfect rolled aspect, where, you know, in the previous season I've already got these on Eternal. I'll just go play Eternal. And we should want players to play the new season, but there's no seasonal power. Heck, the seasonal mechanic is a little bit weak as well, but we'll get into that in a moment. So what I really want to go into, and I think this is actually one of the biggest parts of this video, it has to do with the expansion and these little charts that I want to go ahead and explain. And it's kind of going over like the fun level of the whole entirety of the game going downhill as you progress into the end game, getting those 300 Paragon points. It just kind of feels painful. And you can see this person over here is saying that they're making it so hard for the grind, and that Blizzard did this on purpose to stretch out the season. It's pretty effing obvious. And while I want to say that it would be good to get players to continuously play in this season, because how it works on a lot of action RPGs, that doesn't just apply to Diablo, but pretty much the first 2 weeks are relatively hot, and then it kind of drops out because, well, people get bored and they want to go ahead and play another game. I mean, we're coming towards the end of the year, and this is kind of where a lot of newer video games come out. There's the new Dragon Age, and of course we have Path of Exile 2's beta really soon. So I think regardless of how it was going to turn out, there's a lot of people that will be interested in playing other games because it's just that time of the year. But I also think that there is some direct correlation with making the grind too long to the point where people feel like, I just can't achieve this. And you can see this person over here with almost 100 upvotes saying that this just shorted the season for you. I've already quit. Loot was fine the way it was. Making Ancestrals rare was a mistake. And this all has to do with specifically this and the incredible price of certain items with those special aspects being absolutely perfect. It's making people just want to quit the game because they're just like, dude, I don't even want to play. Like, there comes to a point where, like, you're playing the game and you don't feel like you're rewarded for your time. And in fact, it kind of comes down to kind of doing the same thing we did in the previous season. So how are we getting more power? Well, we go do the old content. I would prefer the raids or the brand new Undercity to have some reason to do them, because currently people just don't engage in the content past just trying out the thing. And you can see there's like a bunch of different other people kind of saying the same thing. The whole tiered system, the aspects being ancestrals is kind of a mistake. It should have been reverted. And then tell me about it. And then this season was made for streamers, and it shows. And while, you know, there are streamers out there that can just say, hey, does anyone have an aspect like this? I need it. And someone's like, hey, Mr. Streamer, I'll give you the item for free. And then they don't even have to like post on the trade website. It's very frustrating to deal with that. But also the masterwork and getting the correct things to be 12 out of 12 on the correct rolls is really frustrating, because it doesn't really involve any skill, right? To get the, you know, extra resolve stacks, I want it 12 out of 12 or whatever thing that you're going for when you are masterworking, it doesn't really feel that good, because the way it's designed is like, I can't control it. It's just, I have to hit this 1 out of 5 chance 3 times in a row. It's not really engaging. And I don't think that people are just saying this, that like, you know, I've already quit. Because sometimes what I've seen a lot in a lot of video games is people say, dude, I'm quitting this game. And, you know, they may quit for the season, but I'll see you next season, no problem. But I think that this season, I've seen a very big drop off. And while there isn't an official like Blizzard website that we can check the player numbers, there is some definite direct correlation when you look look at the viewers of any video game, there is definitely some correlation. And this is a website called Silly Gnome, and it kind of tracks the games in terms of, like, on Twitch, how is it looking? And in the past week, Diablo's been down pretty hard. We're losing like half the hours watched, the broadcast, the average viewers. I mean, the max viewers dropped 72% in the first week. Now, this is kind of normal for a lot of video games when it first comes out, or, I mean, as far as I'm aware, there was no, like, a big amount of people that were sponsored to play Diablo 4 that are playing for the very first time because of this expansion. With, like, other games that come out, sometimes this happens. I remember, like, when Apex Legends, or, like, right now there's, like, Off the Grid, there's a couple, like, games where they're just getting the biggest streamers to stream the game, and then once they stop doing the sponsor streams, the game literally dies. But I don't really feel like that's the case with Diablo. Like, we didn't have an influx of other content creators that play non-Diablo games that were paid to stream Diablo. So, like, this is a massive drop-off to lose 72% within, again, the last 7 days, because we basically just got this expansion over here, right? And I wanted to go ahead and actually use this chart, and I want to see if you guys kind of feel the same way with this chart that I made. So I have 3 different little, like, lines here. So the one in blue is going to be my level of fun. So let's go over that one first. So this is kind of how I felt like the game was, as far as, like, doing the campaign and then, you know, trying out the new activities. My fun level was at 100%. I had a lot of fun. And then once I was getting into you know, Torment 3, Torment 4, kind of working my glyphs up, it was kind of like, okay, I've already done this before. It's not like most, you know, the exciting thing, because I've already done that in the previous seasons. Like, that was already a thing that we've experienced. I want to experience new content when I have, you know, a new expansion for the game. And it's so weird that, like, we don't have a huge push to do some of the newer content, whether that is going through the newer system where we kill the monsters, then we go through the Realm Walkers portal. Like, we're not really incentivized to do that because there's not a huge drive for it. Yes, you get the opals, but you only need to do it once every, like, 2 hours. You can go in there. But on top of that, like, leveling up glyphs, it's kind of like brain dead activity in my personal opinion. As far as the progression, it's just like Diablo 3. In fact, this whole game itself is kind of turning more into Diablo 3 the more that, you know, this game kind of goes on. But it's really frustrating in terms of my fun level when I'm trying to go ahead and get my glyphs. Like, I'm not really having fun. I'm just kind of doing zombie, brain dead, just level up, glyph, keep on going, right? And then as far as, like, once I'm in the T4 area where I have to hit the masterworking things, like, that's not what I would consider very fun. And also to farming the greater aspects, the GA items, I feel like that's not really, like, very exciting. That's cool when it drops and maybe see something, but we still lack a loot filter, which I think is kind of an annoyance in the game. And then farming Paragon 300 simply just takes way too long. Like, even for me that can play this game for 30 hours a day, it's still just simply too long. And I think that Diablo is designed mainly right now as a more casual game. And I think if it's going to be a casual game with, you know, the way it's designed, you need to be able to make it so the average player can hit the 300 within a reasonable amount of time. Currently, I think it is way too difficult to reach that. But then also, I feel like that there was a very big direct correlation with my fun level and the brain activity, or how am I engaged with the game's systems, right? Like, we've already experienced pretty much most of the things. As far as being engaged with the new rune system, I mean, it's kind of just like, okay, this is the best one, all right, slot it in. It didn't really incorporate, like, I'm going to make a build all around, like, an earthquake. Like, I'm playing SpiritBorn, but I'm going to make an earthquake build with it. That's what I really wanted to see with the rune system, not just like, okay, this one gives me a small little, like, you know, bonus over here. It's like very mediocre. Like, yes, we get the barrier and it helps our build, but it doesn't really define the build itself, if that kind of makes any sense. So my brain activity levels, especially once you need to get your glyphs to 100 in the masterworking and you need to farm the things, it's so brain dead in terms of the activity. Again, the engagement level goes far, far down. And then the last one that I have as far as the graph goes is the frustration level. Like, through the campaign, I didn't really feel like it was frustrating at all. I actually enjoyed myself throughout the campaign. And then when I was going to, like, T1, I was trying out the new activities on the higher difficulty. But then I ended up doing the same stuff, like, you know, towards the end, where it's like, oh, I just have to go farm the mythic item for, you know, if I'm not playing SpiritBorn, well, there are mythics to go ahead and achieve, right? And then now you get the guaranteed greater affix on it, so that's kind of a nicer thing. But my frustration level goes up way, way, way higher when I need to do the 12 out of 12 masterworking. That is, again, what I would consider not fun, because it's very frustrating to have to farm for a very extended period of time, only to have my, you know, results of my work just to be like, well, it's a 1 in 5 chance, good luck. I didn't get it. All right, now I have to reset it again. Like, it's almost mean at that point. It almost feels like this is exactly how I feel about the current system with the masterworking. Especially because a lot of builds will give you way more damage when you get the correct masterworking 3 times in a row. It almost feels like it's designed to be frustrating, and then you would be able to have like some sort of in-game cash item that guarantees the one that you want. That's genuinely how it feels. Now, obviously that doesn't exist in the game, but that's how it feels personally to me. It feels like I'm playing a mobile game where like they made it frustrating on purpose for no cash shop item to exist. And I'm not saying I want a cash shop, okay, let's be clear. I'm just saying that that's how it feels. A lot of games are designed essentially in terms of the end game to get like the best things in the game. You need to get out the credit card, otherwise it makes it frustrating. And I feel like it's made to be frustrating without the, I guess, solution, but I don't want that to be the solution. I think that there could be a revamp on the masterworking system, allowing us to maybe get an item to drop, like you know how we had the temper reroll, to maybe just guarantee, or maybe you can do like a special masterwork where like it might cost double or triple or even quadruple the amount of materials, but I can guarantee it. That way, my time is valued. This is a big thing with Diablo 4. I don't feel like my time is valued, especially after Paragon 200. I just felt like I was brain dead farming. Okay, I know that this is a long part of the video, but I really wanted to stress this is kind of how I feel. The only thing that went up as time went on was my frustration with the game versus like my fun level went down and then the frustration going up. This is where I think they really need to rework the endgame sort of a thing. Why do we have like new endgame pieces of content like the raids, but we're not encouraged to really do it to get powerful? We are encouraged to go do the same content that we've been doing for several seasons. It's just, again, backwards to me. All right, next up, a couple of other pain points that I think are very good to go ahead and highlight are the conduit shrines. Why are conduit shrines actually so garbage to the point where, like, you really don't want to even grab them? I think this is a very big thing that needs to be mentioned. Also, this game is constantly filled with bugs. Heck, like, since we're not playing, like, the bug quill build, you know, you're not able to push as high, but, like, this game is constantly filled with bugs. It's almost a thing where like, okay, the best build, it's obviously going to be bugged. This is just a consistent thing with Diablo 4, which can be annoying because then, you know, the next season comes around and like, oh, your favorite build that you enjoyed playing, oh, it's nerfed, it doesn't work anymore. And while we did have one build that got like absolutely like kind of gutted is like the evade build, I mean, you can still play it at the lower levels of things. However, as far as it goes, this game's just constantly filled with like, oh, the trade is disabled, oh, this is working as not intended. I mean, there's people still duping right now. This was like posted 2 hours ago where like this guy has hundreds of the runes, and if you're wondering why would you want to dupe runes, you can only use, you know, 1 per character. Well, they're selling them for gold, and then, you know, obviously that kind of screws over the marketplace and the value of the things, because if people can flood the market with hundreds of these runes, well, it's going to lower the value of them. And this has to do with a lot of things. Like right now, Fulminate works with a bonus to non-physical damage with one of the Paragon nodes, but the Canny apparently is bugged and it does not work. This is just a constant thing with Diablo 4. Like, the game is always having some bugs. When you're putting in some of the materials for the tormented bosses, sometimes it eats your materials and the boss never spawns. This has been an issue, and it's just a constant thing with Diablo 4 is the bugs that just exist in this game. I don't know why it's just in this state where, like, we just have so many bugs. Heck, there's so many bugs with the Erotic Hippolyte. There's bugs with the Banished Lord's Talisman not requiring the correct 275. There's a lot of things that are just simply not working as intended. Now, do I want them to nerf these right now? No, but at the same time, to have these builds be so far above other builds is kind of interesting, and I really feel like they should try to push us to do the like raids a little bit more. Like the first time I did the raids, it was very exciting, but I want them to encourage us to do it more. Maybe there could be something really good over there. Maybe you can get crazy materials. I actually dropped a video where I was super excited. I did the max difficulty raid, and I opened up the materials cache because I needed to get the Forgotten Souls, and I got 3. And I was just like, I genuinely was shocked. I'm like, there's no way it could be 3. Like, even if at 30, it was still like way too low. They really need to make the rewards for doing the Citadel really high, because as far as content goes, it's not the hardest because of the way it's designed. It's mainly supposed to be like hard because like you need to work together to get this thing done, and it's mostly made for people to kind of like experience it one time and that's it. It's not like you're gonna go there constantly to get the best gear, because when people hear raids, usually people think, oh, this is where I get the best gear, like it's the hardest content, and I just don't see that with the game. Another thing that just really needs to be added, just so people don't get too burnt out, if you want players to continuously play your game, you know, you want that life cycle of your game to last longer in the season, is to have an army system. This is a really great feature that is already added in Diablo 3. Heck, it's added into the First Ascendant. There's so many video games that are like other action RPGs that are not well, okay, First Ascent is definitely AAA, but there's still non-AAA ARPGs and other games that let you swap loadouts. Why is this not a feature? We've been asking for this literally since the very beginning of the game, and it's so frustrating that they're just like, yeah, we hear you, you guys want Armory. Well, where is it? Like, I just want them to say, hey guys, Armory is coming out next week or something. I don't know why it's taking them so long. It already exists in the game. Do you need to hire people that can actually make the content? Do you need to hire someone that can make a loot filter? Because I still think, just like a lot of other content creators, we need a loot filter. Why do we have a modern action RPG, the top one, right? When I think of top action RPGs, I think of literally there's just Path of Exile and then there's Diablo. The rest of them, they're kind of below. But a lot of those ones that are below, they have loot filters. Why is the big daddy Diablo, one of the kings of action RPGs, why are we missing very basic core features that should have been baked into the game at the start? I'm talking about a loot filter, 100% should be in an action RPG. Doesn't really make sense at all. Another thing that I want to talk about is kind of class balance. And while I was really excited to hear that we only need to do the Paragon thing like one time and then we're done, I like that idea because then I can be encouraged to play other characters. But because the way the game is set up with all these GAs and the masterworking, I have really no desire to play anything else but the SpiritBorn because it takes so damn long to go ahead and progress in the game. And I think that this is something that can be looked at. I mean, when we look at like what would be a tier list, and I'm going to be dropping tier list video very soon, but like this is actually how it looks. This is pretty much how it feels for majority of players. Like SpiritBorn is like this godly character and everything else is so low. The difference between like a 150 and a 114 is so massive that it literally is this. This is not even like wrong. I know it seems crazy, but the rest of the classes are miles behind the SpiritBorn class because there's a bunch of bugs. It's just like the class was designed to be strong. And I think that it is way overtuned. Now, I'm not saying nerf the SpiritBorn, but just make the other classes able to do like 140 would be a good mark. Like the SpiritBorn can be a little bit stronger than the rest of the classes, and that's totally fine because it's the new class. I would rather the class be way OP than like super underperforming and then no one wants to play the new class, because that's what makes it fun to play a new season with a new expansion. People want to play a new class. So I get that it can be a little bit stronger, but like this is it's a little bit too much to the point where people don't even want to play the other characters, right? And then another thing is, yeah, I already mentioned that, the loot filter, I don't get it. This is things that have been mentioned months ago. And then talking about the other systems that got added into the game, which I think could use a big improvement, is that like they really should incorporate us to use this like new region. Like a lot of times, like we have this whole map of Nahantu, really cool, but what are we doing with it? We don't really go to the Undercity, right? All we're doing, we're going back and doing old content right in Saragar, just doing the pits again and again. And you have all of this content that essentially was like done in the campaign and then it's just gone, it's wasted, right? So encouraging some sort of like activities to do in this area would be I think a welcoming thing to a lot of the players, because again, a lot of times people are just doing the campaign once, they're doing the strongholds once, we're not like doing repetitive content. But speaking of things that would be a lot more fun than just repetitive slamming down the pits again, I would really love to see some sort of clan battles, some sort of PvP. I think that would be really good. There is a really interesting system in Diablo Immortal that lets you like have these towers that you can take over as a clan, and I think this is cool. Like you're controlling areas of the map and then you actually have to fight and defend. Why do we have that not implemented in Diablo 4? And I just don't get why there isn't some sort of incentivization for PvP. This is endless infinite content that you have that players can go ahead and participate in, and it makes them want to go ahead and go for some sort of end game gear, because what is the point in terms of like the game's progression, right? Like, okay, you're getting better gear, you can do a pit 150. Okay, once you do pit 150, what do? I mean, sure, you can keep on farming to get triple GAs in every single slot if you really wanted to, but what are you going to do with that power? You've already completed the game. And while I want to say that maybe games, nowadays people do want to spend hundreds of hours in video games versus like, okay, you play the game, you put 100 hours in it, you've done everything, move on, play the new game. But this is a game that was designed as games as a service, and I think that PvP is a huge area where they could actually utilize, because the leaderboards, while there is kind of like some bootleg leaderboards online, they should have made the pit as a form of a leaderboard. I think that that would have been a much better thing to go ahead and actually achieve in-game, like a leaderboard for the pit versus, again, you have to go to a different website. But I think a incorporation of the clans would be really cool, because what's the point of a clan? Like, you don't really do any clan-only activities, and there is just so much more content genuinely in Diablo Immortal compared to Diablo 4 for clans and just like more things to do. And while they're probably going to be adding things later with a second expansion and other things, I think it'd be kind of cool to buff up the current things that exist in the game already to encourage people to do some forms of the newer content. Again, the Undercity and Raids are two excellent things that they could drop a scroll to maybe guarantee whatever temper roll that you want, or maybe the perfect master working roll. Just something to kind of give us a little bit more consistency, or even you could just pick whatever aspect that you want and it just maxes it over in the codex. Just again, some more consistency would be good, because otherwise players, just like I had mentioned, if you make it seem like it just takes too dang long, it's just going to make people quit the game. I mean, it shows right here, and like I said, there's a lot more on Reddit right now. People are very upset with the game state, and where it's just requiring too much of a grind to the point where like players just feel like it's not fun and it's kind of dropping off. And that's why I wanted to make the chart, because I feel the same way. And like, you know, I should be enjoying Diablo a lot more because I'm a content creator for it, but at the end of the day, this is genuinely how I feel. And I've kind of seen this with a lot of other content creators where I'm watching their stream, because I usually play their stream in the background while I'm kind of doing something, because sometimes I get to learn stuff, and a lot of them just kind of feel like it's brain dead, just keep on slamming down things, upgrade, re-rolling, because like I think it's very frustrating to see a streamer farm for like several hours, get the iron ore and the rawhide, and then like, are we gonna get it, guys? Oh, it didn't work. All right, back to back. Like, it feels so painful because I'm in the same boat with that. But nonetheless, hopefully we can get some of these things addressed. But if there's any other things that you guys feel are frustrating, definitely let me know down below, because I want to do a longer write-up to the things that I think Blizzard can actually work on as a Diablo partner to kind of fix the current game state of the game and how it feels, and kind of make specifically that endgame feel a lot better with a lot more variety and content, so we essentially don't get burnt out, because I feel like that's just the current state of the game. It's not looking too good, and players are definitely upset about it, including myself. But anyways, that's going to wrap things up. If you guys enjoyed the video / rant, drop a like on it if you're new here and you want to see an update to this, if there is an update, and hopefully we'll get some sort of mid-season balance update, specifically buffing all of the classes. I mean, heck, even if they buff SpiritBorn, I think that'd be exciting to see some of the underutilized skills see a little bit more play. That way, again, it encourages us to make different builds to have a little bit more fun with the game. But anyways, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.